Hello.
No, we gotta be Christmassy.
Oh. It's the
Ho,
holiday
ho.
season.
You do.
Welcome to Historia.
I'm Kylie.
I'm Jamie.
And today is, well, when this comes out, I think it's Christmas Day. So Merry Christmas if you celebrate.
Hanukkah starts on the 8th.
Yeah, that's coming up soon. We're still in good old November. Mm-hmm. So
I don't know what you're covering today.
it's Christmas.
Just Christmas?
No, I already did that. I already did the story of Christmas, I think. Or no, I did do the story of Christmas. I didn't do that.
I think you covered...
Jesus was born. I didn't do that.
I think you covered Santa Claus last year.
I did Santa Claus. Yeah, I did the story of Halloween. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, so I did Santa Claus last year, and then I think I did another Christmas one last year.
Oh, the year before that, we did the...
Krampus,
Frau
the Yuletts.
the Yuletts, yeah.
All the classics. Today's just kind of like it's kind of just like digging into history of Christmas and like how different places celebrate Christmas and different time periods.
Oh.
So I did a fun one today that digs into England, and we're talking about medieval England Christmas.
Interesting.
It's very interesting. I didn't know it'd be so interesting. There was just a part of me that was like, I'm really curious how people like used to celebrate.
So they didn't always drink eggnog and get trashed off it?
No.
Oh.
They did things that were similar, but in different ways. So yeah, this is kind of fun. There's a lot of fun traditions that they have, and yeah, we'll jump on in. But my sources today, we have the readingmuseum.org.uk. Lots of information there. History.com, dude. Can't go wrong. And then the World History Encyclopedia. There's also a few like documentaries on YouTube that are like, they like had people dress up and pretend that they lived back then, and you can watch them do things, but I got bored. If I'm being honest. All right, so I didn't use that as a source. It was just fun and entertainment. All right, but we're going to talk about the 12 days of Christmas. My true love came to me. 12. I don't know any of them. I forgot all of them. We're going to be talking about the 12 days of Christmas because they were a true reality in medieval England.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, these would consist of lots of eating, drinking, and church going. Good times. I'm going to go into details on everything, but gift giving was not as common as we see today. Prior to Christmas Day, there was a month-long fast of Advent where Christians would avoid rich foods and overindulgence.
Well, it's kind of like how
Easter.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's similar.
With Lent.
So the morning of December 25th meant eating, drinking, and even dressing up. And it's not what you think. It's not like go get nice clothes. It's like dressing up.
Well, they literally could not afford it.
Yeah, they're just getting creepy costumes, basically.
Oh, what?
Jamie's face. They would play games and dance around the neighborhood for 12 days solid.
Dude, freaking ancient people, like medieval, ancient, whatever, they love dancing.
What else are you going to do? What else are you going to do, honestly? Well, like what? What else are you going to do besides dance around the neighborhood for 12 days? Wow. Yeah, here's what you're going to do. You're going to eat. You're going to eat a big meal, okay? We're going to start off by talking about feasting.
What'd they eat?
All kinds of shit. We're going to talk about it.
Oh.
There would be a Christmas mass on Christmas morning that would signal the end of Advent and the start of feasting season.
So they're literally like, it's like a hibernation thing where they like, yeah. They're hibernating when they're fasting, and
literally
then when they get out, they're
eat. Like starving themselves, and then finally it's Christmas morning and they're like, we could eat everything possible. Oh, that is not good for your body.
No.
So the feasting season would run from December 25th to January 5th.
No.
So for 12 days, you just eat your heart out, girl. Like, eat everything possible.
Oh my God.
Yeah, after you just starved yourself for I think it was like, I'll mention it, but a few weeks. So
Jesus.
Super fun. Most people would have lots of bacon and ham from pigs that were slaughtered, seasoned, and smoked throughout November. So a lot of people would prep their pigs and kill them in November so that they could be ready to go.
Interesting.
Yeah. The wealthy were expected to distribute festive food and drink. So they were the ones like in charge of putting everything together, which I found really interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't just like, oh, if you're rich, you get to celebrate. Everyone got to celebrate, and the wealthy were like the planners of it. So it was kind of cool.
The wealthy are actually useful.
Exactly. That's how I felt. The peasant farmers were freed from labor for all 12 days. They got to take a little break. Isn't that so nice? And the Lord had to lay a feast for them.
Random.
Isn't that crazy?
Wild.
So it's kind of like the opposite of how it is the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So probably like, Lord, fetch me some wine. And the Lord's just like, fuck you, bitch. I'll make you work harder.
More taxes.
Yeah. During the feast, there was cross-dressing, as they call it back then, trick playing, and tons of drinking. So it was just kind of like, you dress up like your brother or whatever. You play tricks on each other, and you just drink your heart out.
You just get shit-faced.
Yeah. What else would you do back then? You know, like just drink. Why not? Everyone ate meats such as boar and goose, and there were lots of spices and sweets. Most meals began with a course of sausages, pasties, black pudding. I don't know what those things are, and I don't want to know. What's black pudding?
I think James told me.
I said I don't want to know, and then I'm like, what is it?
I think it's like dried sheep's blood.
And they still didn't eat it today?
They do.
Okay.
I think James tried it when he was in Scotland.
Oh, wow. Interesting. So if you live there, please educate me, because that's interesting.
I think that's what it is. Don't
quote us. Don't quote us. I've never even been to England, so. We don't know anything. Okay. Then they would eat 4 courses of fish and roasted meats. 4 courses.
That's a lot of meat.
Yeah. Every day.
Oh, it feels so gross.
The meal would end with nuts, tarts, custard, and sweetmeats. Does not sound good, but okay. Depending on who was king at the time, the meals would change. So, like, sometimes if the king really treasured bacon, they'd have more bacon. Mm-hmm. Henry III, in particular, I found this one interesting. He ordered around 1,200 bottles of wine. That was, like, a priority to him. Yeah. So he just, like, kept drinking wine for 12 days straight.
Oh, my God.
A lot of times, if you look at pictures, you're going to see a lot of, like, swans, because a lot of people have, like, recreated it. Mm-hmm. So swan was a really popular food to eat. Mm-hmm. And they cooked everything on wood fires, of course. And so in that documentary I was telling you all about, they show them, like, prepping everything with, like, all the wood, which is interesting that people, like, tried to do it nowadays. But, yeah, they'd have to gather all of the wood beforehand, obviously, because you can't just go cook without wood. So there's also the boar's head, which was like kind of more of a tradition, but they'd bring in a whole cooked boar's head at Christmas, and it involved like costume, dancers, and singing of a song. And the boar's head later simply became a symbol rather than like, a lot of times they didn't even use a boar's head later on. They just kind of would have a wooden boar's head, and then they would just eat whatever they want. But it's just the tradition. My college did it.
Really?
Yeah. It was so random. My college did a boar's head, but we didn't, I don't remember what we ate. It definitely wasn't boar. But they had like, I don't know. I feel like they had like a fake one. And it was always around Christmas time, and we would just like have a dinner, and then there'd be like silly things that would happen. I went to a very interesting college, guys. But I remember one year I got poisoned because there was coconut in like all the food. And I'm allergic to coconut. They use coconut oil and everything.
Oh.
And then I had to go to rehearsal, and I was like, it was not going well. So that was not a fun night for me, but.
No.
But yeah, that was a interesting connection. And then they also had something called bean cake. This is really interesting. So it was celebrated on the 12th night, which was January 5th. Mm-hmm. They actually made this its own separate holiday called 12th night, also known as 12th tide. So it was like its own time, and it represented merrymaking and mischief. And if you've ever heard of Shakespeare's play The Twelfth Night, of course I have to relate it to that. It's really interesting to kind of see that connection since he, you know, was from this type of tradition, and The Twelfth Night is very silly. So they would do like different things like that, put on different shows and whatnot. And the bean cake was a big part of the 12th night. It was a fruit-filled cake with a tiny hidden dried bean in it. Whoever got the bean was king for the night. And they would give silly things for people to do. So you could demand embarrassing tasks from people of authority.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine? That'd be so fun. If you were treated wrong all year and then finally you're the king, you can just make people go crazy. So that's kind of like the feast. There was a lot of food involved, but let's talk about the entertainment. So of course that sounds pretty entertaining to me, the 12th night and everything, but there's also something called mumming, and this is where you would dress up in an animal mask or disguise men as women, and then you would go door to door singing festive folk songs and telling jokes. Some did it for fun, kind of like trick-or-treating, I guess. Others expected coins or small gifts. So imagine someone coming to your house. You didn't tell them to come. You open the door, they tell you a joke, and then they ask for money.
Oh my God. I'd be like, get out of here.
Exactly. So I wonder if they would tell them like, hey, by the way, I'm expecting a small gift for this. Or if they'd be like, you don't have to give me anything. Like, I wonder how that works. Maybe they automatically give someone something and then they can always be like, no, I don't need it. Yeah. I don't know how it works, but I found that to be very fascinating. It's kind of like trick-or-treating, except you'd have to give them money sometimes.
Yeah.
Then we have the Feast of Fools, which was held on January 1st. The priests, deacons, and other church officials were able to be silly and have fun for the night. And sometimes they it said that sometimes things got a little out of control. They went crazy. They're like, we get to be crazy for one night. Whoop, whoop. So they would actually perform mystery plays. It was like biblical plays, but then they would like put a fun spin on them.
Interesting.
So I think they're kind of like mocking like their Bible and stuff, which is kind of funny because they're like the religious people. But I know that they got to like play each other too. So like the priest could be the deacon for the night and that kind of thing. So they had a good time. I'm glad they had fun. So as you can see, religion was a big part of the culture, and Christmas was a religious celebration, as it still is for many, and celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ included prayers, mass, and religious processions. There was also a Yule log where they would just burn a large log. Classic. So that was another tradition that they had. So in order to prepare for all of this fun 12 days of Christmas, there are a few things that they had to do. One, they had 28 days of fasting. Oh, God. This included no meat, no eggs, no cheese. I would literally die.
You would just eat
That's my whole diet. And it was religious. Like, it was for religious reasons, but it was also to help them save food for the feast. Which makes sense if you're going to have to feed. They have like, what, 7 courses of food for 12 days straight for everyone.
That's a lot.
You got to save your food.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And a lot of the preparations also included prepping the food. Like I mentioned, having to take care of your animals to the point where they're ready to be slaughtered. So sad. But also, you know, the women were very busy starting to cook things all the way from November because it took a long time back then to cook something. So they had to like start prepping all the veggies and all the sweets and everything. It took a long time to prep.
Yeah.
4 weeks. And then, of course, stocking up the firewood, like I mentioned earlier, was super important. You had to have enough wood to last for all those 12 days. So that was super important. And then decorations. You got to make it look nice, right? So they had to use holly and ivy to decorate the homes because that was like the easiest thing to get. And it also just like spruces up everything. Ooh. Yeah. So the greenery symbolized life and renewal during winter. Kind of fun. They also had mistletoe.
Of course.
Maybe that's when things got out of control with the priests.
Oh, God. The priest and deacon?
Yeah. Oh, this is another interesting thing. So they would actually cut their hair. They would cut off like a lot of their hair on their scalp as a symbol of religious devotion. So a lot of them would be walking into the dinners with like no hair on the top of their head, but just some hair hanging down.
What? No.
They're so silly. This is so silly.
Well, how would it even be able to grow out?
Not very well, I don't think.
Everyone's having a bad hair day.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, like I said, it's not very common to give gifts to everyone, but kindness and charity was super treasured. So people focused more on helping the less fortunate, which was kind of nice that they're like really focused on that. Like I said, the wealthy people were the ones who kind of gave the most and were able to give gifts to everyone, and including the less fortunate. We don't see that often, so it's kind of nice to see. No. They also use the 12 days to predict the future. So priests would read texts called I can never say that word.
Prognostics?
Yeah, I can't say prognostics. I can't do it. But basically, they were texts that explained signs from nature, like storms, high winds, and rainbows, and kind of what they mean in religious texts. And so they would use these to predict the weather for the coming year. So whatever they would see for Christmas would be kind of what the next year would be like. And this would also predict kind of how big events would go.
Yeah.
So an example of this is like if it was sunny and clear on Christmas Day, it was a sign that there would be a warm and mild spring, which led to good crops and good health. But if Christmas was super windy and gross, it meant a bad year for the rich and powerful.
Oof.
Yeah. Which is not good.
No, because then how are they going to get all that food?
Exactly. So that was really the only information I could find from all my sources. I was like, it's kind of basic. Like, you eat, you drink, and you have fun. You get to act silly for 12 days straight. But yeah, I mean, like, the only emphasis on those days are like Christmas Day, there's like a bigger feast, and then the January 1st, and then the January 5th. But like the rest of the days, you just eat a lot, have fun. It sounds kind of nice, you know?
Yeah.
But a lot of food. That would be rough.
A lot of meat.
If you didn't eat for 4 weeks, I mean, you're still eting, but not much. And then you eat that much food. That is so bad.
Dude, that will fuck your stomach up.
Yeah. And then the haircuts.
Oh, God. Haircuts.
There's pictures of them.
Dude, probably have like a weird ass looking mullet.
The second it starts to grow back, it's time to shave it again.
Literally.
And not everyone participated in that. And of course, it like depended on what area of England you're from. You know, a lot of places didn't even do all of this, but it was like, I think like the Reading area was like the most popular, and just those areas with the king and everything.
Yeah.
It's going to be
London.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's medieval England Christmas. Short and sweet. Give you a little fun holiday episode for the year.
Yeah, it was fun.
And it's wild to think that this year is almost over, and we'll be doing our 2023 recap.
Oh my God.
That stresses me out just saying that.
Dude, there's going to be a lot.
Yeah. I got to research for that, so that's going to be fun. But yeah. I hope you will all have a good, if you celebrate Christmas, a good Christmas, good holiday season, good New Year's.
Oh, yeah. Happy New Year's.
It's so crazy to think about because we're approaching Thanksgiving soon, so we're not even close. But yeah.
This year came by so fast.
It really did. It's crazy. I don't even understand time anymore. It doesn't exist.
It doesn't.
It's fake.
Fake news.
But yeah, let us know. What do you think would be the funnest part about medieval England? I would say it's probably the dancing around for 12 days.
I was going to say the haircuts. I wouldn't stop dying laughing.
That would be fun to see. The priest getting out of control.
Oh, gosh. Where can you find us?
You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Historia the Podcast, and you can email us at historiathepodcast@gmail.com.
We will catch you in the new year.
All right. It's been a good year. I don't know what to say. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.